irrigation system is set up with a rain gauge which hangs out here
Is that if you got
on the
any
gutter, and everything's all preset and all synced in. It is a wireless sensor. All that rain gauge typically does is just sends information back to this control box. This, if the rain gauge says, hey, we've had more than a ½ inch of rain, it's going to send a signal to here, and this is going to tell the controller you can no longer water.
Okay.
It's right now I have it for 2 cycles, so basically, you know, it's about 72 hours that it wouldn't water for a ½ inch.
Okay.
Inside of you, another important part of this is a 9-volt battery here. Right now, it's programmed to run every day. That's just because we're watering it. I want that thing soaked and soft. That way, them roots can just drive down and without any resistance.
Okay.
When I leave here today, I'm actually going to turn it back to every other day. That way, them roots will have to drive even harder in that soft ground to search for moisture.
Okay.
This time of year, and especially establishing new sod, I want them roots looking. You should be good on fertilizer till next spring. I've done 2 applications. The first one was a pre-plant. It was high in phosphorus and potash. Is what that is. Number 1, that helps root growth down, and then number 2, it helps fight against any type of disease on this newly laid sod.
Okay.
And then plus I put a 1 pound per 1,000 of a triple 19, a balanced fertilizer on there, just to help for the canopy as well, the green. Please check this 9-volt. That'll help you guys in the long term. That 9-volt should last about a year. All that does is that's a memory for this. Like if you lose power and whatnot, and it comes back on, you should never have to come out here and do nothing. That controller is going to pick right back up where, you know, power went off and come back on and reestablish itself. That thing, all that does is keeps the memory of the settings that's been put in there.
Okay.
If the battery dies, what?
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
As far as the exterior, you have a quick reference sheet here that's going to basically walk you through it just like I'm going to. It's simple. In fact, that's the way I learned how to run them.
Okay.
Say you come in here and the power is off or whatnot, all you gotta do is run it to set date, which would be the current date. These arrows here will move from day, month to year. Then your positive and negative will move you either up or down depending on which way you gotta go. Once you get that set, then you go to time. Now on time, be careful. I mean, it don't make no difference to me, but a lot of people prefer 12-hour versus military 24-hour. So you can actually decide which one you want on that. Right now, you're just on a 12-hour. And likewise, there again, you move back and forth. See, like right there, we got 12-hour. If I just hit positive, it go to 24-hour.
Okay.
Once you establish you want 12-hour, then you go through, it'll say AM or PM. Right now we're at PM. The same thing. Oop. Going back up. You'll start out with the hour, positive, negative. It's going to take you up or down. The same thing for minutes, up or down. There is no second counter on this thing.
Okay.
And as far as getting to AM and PM, you're gonna have to run through, like you're setting your dial clock. And once you get the time set, you go to set your water times. Best time to water is when you have optimum water pressure, which is either late at night or early in the morning. When I leave here, I'm gonna have this thing running. It's gonna be at 5 a.m. That's basically your optimum time to water. You know, very few people are up at that time. Your local industries are not drawing that much water. Which, as far as water pressure, well, you can see the gauge there. You're sitting at about 86 psi right now.
Okay.
When I turn this on, you'll see that may drop down to 80, 82. And that is after your backflow. When you set your water times, you got 4 different programs here. This is how you select your programs, A, B, C, and D. Atypically, everybody just use program A. Now, whoever you have doing your winterization, now we will come up this here in about a week and a half and do a winterization. My guy, our tech, will usually use program D. He'll just go through and put like 3 minutes on each zone. That way, when he's winterizing, all he has to do is come in here and flip that program D, start, and then he goes back out and watches hedge, make sure everything's emptying out.
So the winterizing, that is literally draining the lines?
That is going to be draining the lines. Right down here, you have a 1-inch pipe thread brass valve close to the floor there.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you'll spin in. What we use is an air compressor, just a regular pull behind air compressor. We'll actually spin in a Chicago fitting because that's what's on our hoses, our air hoses. We'll spin that in there, hook the air hose on that up to the air compressor. We actually have regulators so we don't run over 90 psi. That way we're not blowing things apart.
Yeah.
If you don't have a regulator, you'll be able to tell by your handle. You don't want to just come out here and just flip it wide open because you'll start blowing things apart. And then open the brass valve. And then a key thing as far as winterization, when you start taking that over yourselves or whether you call us back each year, is make sure that you already have your program running for winterization. That way you're not building up that high volume of air in the lines. Once you have that program going, go ahead and open that valve and it'll start running through the zones. As you're going through your winterization, keep an eye on the heads. Your very last head, say you have 5 heads per zone. Well, that 5th head may be squirting water. I get a lot of people say, oh, that's good. Well, there's 50, 60 foot between that head and head number 4 where, you could possibly still have water in there. If that leaches back, it could freeze on valves, whatnot. But at minimal, make sure it's just a very faint mist coming out of that last head before you go to the next one.
Okay, I hate to interrupt, but I've
Go
got
ahead.
to leave. I'll watch this with Tim. I got another
Not a
thing
problem.
I got to.
Not a thing.
Thank
Good
you,
seeing
Tim.
you.
Good seeing you.
You'd have been much better off holding this camera than me. I'm shaky as all get out.
You're all right. Once you get your start water times, you go to the station times, and what a station time is, that's how long each station is going to run. I'm going to have this set up to where your 180 heads are 10 minutes, and then you only have one zone, which is zone 2 of 360 heads. I'm going to make it about 15 minutes. You want a little bit more time on that because it's going twice the distance. Once you get that established, you just go through setting your Monday through Sunday. And just like with anything else, these bottom buttons will move you. That one's on. Move to Tuesday. Plus or minus, you can turn it on or off.
I don't think I'm picking up the display, but I
Yeah,
think
you
the
probably
way you're
won't.
explaining it, I think we can figure it out.
Yeah, each time, for each day, you just move the dial, plus or negative, we'll turn it on or off.
Right.
And it'll even signify on here with a circle and a cross through the water droplet as to if it's on or off. Right now, you're set up for every other day. And then once you get everything set up, if you ever have to come in and reset it, just make sure you turn the controller back to on. I've gotten many calls. People say, hey, our irrigation system, we went out there and adjusted a little bit. It's not working since then. I come in and 90% of the time it's off. There is no brain science here. It's just common sense. Like I say, you got a neat little quick reference here. Say you come out here and it's before a game or whatnot, and you just you feel like the outfield's a little dry. All you simply have to do right here, it says hold to start, push, hold, and as soon as you see started, which it is right now, you release it, and it'll run through all 4 zones for whatever time that they're set at,
Okay.
and then they'll shut back off. At end of the year, after you winterize, you can just shut it off. And say you want to run through all the zones, and then you see a problem out there, you got water leak, whatnot. As you heard the water kicked off here when I turned it to off, that's all you gotta do. Just turn it back to off. But like I said, just make sure that you got it on once it's all set up and established.
Where does that 9-volt battery go? I didn't
Oh,
see
sorry.
It's on video.
It goes right here.
So if we don't take it out during the wintertime, it'll keep its memory come springtime. I just think about taking it out so it didn't corrode. But.
No, we've never had any problems with that. No, let me back up. The old style controllers we did because they tried to enclose it and thought that, hey, it needed to be moisture tight when this box is actually an exterior box. You don't need that. So that kept moisture in there, and yes, you would get batteries corroding and whatnot. But since they've said, hey, we don't need that on there, we've never had any problems since they've changed that engineering of the batteries corroding in there. If you want to, go ahead.
So if that battery does die on us, we have to go through and do all the settings
and
again?
And reprogram it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and like I said, this quick reference. When I first started doing this industry, I got thrown out to the wolves. And that's all I had was that quick reference. That's pretty much self-taught.
Okay.
This does not have a battery. It's connected into the controller and its power source. Like I say, the rain gauge, the exterior rain gauge has its own battery. Usually lasts, anywhere from 1.5 to 2 years.
Okay. Is there anything inside the control and monitoring we need to be aware of? Oh, that's the lighting.
This is your lighting.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yep.
That it?
And you guys have our contact information. Don't be afraid to contact us anytime. Okay. There are no
Can I get a card from you?
Yep. There are no dumb questions.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and shut
other than
this
the ones
off
that are not answered.